I would like to begin today's meeting by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land in which we are gathered and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to the City Infrastructure Committee meeting of 18 April 2023. I declare this meeting open at 10:35 a.m. I'd like to advise attendees in the room that this meeting is being webcast and audio recorded. I have a leave of absence for Councillor Mindy Russell and I have received no other leave of absence, although there's two missing from the room, but that's okay, they're still here. Can I please have a mover to grant Councillor Russell? Thank you, Councillor Stemp. I need a seconder for that. Councillor Murphy. All those in favour of granting Councillor Russell a leave of absence, please raise your hand. Councillor Raven, I can see you in the background. Thank you very much for raising your hand. That's carried. We don't have Councillor Wilcox here for the vote. All right, that motion was carried. I now refer to declarations of conflicts of interest. Do any councillors wish to declare a conflict of interest against any reports on today's agenda? There being none, thank you very much. We'll move on to item 5.1, which is a road name change for Josephine Court, Logan Reserve. I would invite Mr. Kamal Ranawira, the manager of the Road Infrastructure Planning section, to please join the discussion. You may commence, Mr. Ranawira.
Thank you. Good morning, councillors. I take the report as read, but I'll provide a brief summary. It is about changing road name of Josephine Court to Beetham Court in Logan Reserve. This is necessary to avoid any potential misdirection of services because having two similar sounding street names, Josephine Court and Josephina Court, both located in the suburb of Logan Reserve. The problem was raised in 2020. At the time, residents living in Josephine Court was consulted with the proposal to change the name, road name. This is because Josephine Court is the later named road out of the two. It was named in 2019. There was no support by the resident at that time, and consequently no further action was taken. However, council continued to receive complaints about confusion of locating addresses or misdirecting services, etc. As a result, second resident consultation was carried out by sending letters to residents in January explaining why it is required. The second letter is included in the report. It includes the change of road name, reason for change, the reason to select the new road name, and other important details. So it's more comprehensive in that regard. Council did not receive any feedback for that letter. At the same time, we consulted or we sought feedback from emergency services providers such as Queensland Ambulance Services and Australia Post. Both organisations were very supportive of a change and indicated that would remove or reduce the risk of misdirection of services, especially during an emergency. During the process, we also continued to consult with the divisional councillor Councillor Jeremiah, who was supportive of the process. The proposed road name will comply with our policy, council's policy, changing of names of roads as per recommendation. Thank you.
Thanks very much. I'll open the floor up to questions. Councillor Stem.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, excuse me. Just wondering, what's the estimated cost of the name change?
The cost of the...
Yeah.
It's only a signage cost.
But how much, though?
Oh, about a couple of hundred, few hundreds.
Okay. So I'm just wondering, why is it going through LIP? Why isn't it just an operational cost?
I think the principle is if it is a new sign, it always has to be funded by a capital, somewhere from capital. Okay. So operational signs, like if some signs fell down or missing, then of course it will be replaced by RCM and operational funding.
Okay. Just curious. So I just thought for $200, I just don't understand why that would go through LIP, but that's just my thoughts.
it seems a lot of other councillors had that very same question. Councillor Wilcox.
Thank you. I actually did send this email because I actually do have a missing sign in my area as well. My question is the same. Why is the councillor having to fund this out of LIP? Because the replies that I got from yourself and one of the other officers yesterday was that street signs will come through RCM for replacement, be funded under the maintenance budget, and new street signs will normally go through the traffic section of RIP to create a TIMS. So still curious as to why Councillor Heremiah has to fund it out of LIP.
Councillor Heremiah, you'd like to respond?
Thank you. Just a quick clarification. I don't fund anything out of LIP. I've never funded anything out of LIP. Council funds things out of LIP, and I'm not a decision maker when it comes to approving any LIP funding. Just clarifying that, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Councillor Wilcox, do you have any other questions?
No, well, I'd just like Kamal to respond.
I think I gave the response earlier. If it is a new sign, always it has to come from some capital funding. So LIP is the funding at this stage. It's just a principle thing. But if the sign is missing and need to be replaced, of course RCM will replace that.
But it's not a sign that's actually missing. It is just a new street sign. And in here, I have a reply that says the main exception is new signs which will go through the traffic section of RIP.
We'll go to the director for this one. Thank you.
And as if you keep reading it, via a TIMS. A TIMS is actually a capital funded project that comes out of your LIP, not your LIP, out of the LIP program. The whole way that the LIP program was created and the previous DICIP program was created was to bundle up all the small components of funding that were previously available to do small capital projects and provide it as a funding source for small infrastructure projects within the divisions. That's why if it's a new capital funded project or capital funded sign, it comes from that program. If it's a maintenance replacement, it comes from the maintenance budget.
But this isn't a request that's actually come from the councillor to replace, and for me, to replace this sign. This has come from complaints from residents with mail not getting delivered, going to the wrong places and things like that. That's my understanding of reading this. There have been complaints from residents. I won't support this. For me, yeah, I won't support it.
So you don't support the name change or you don't support the expenditure?
I support the name change. I don't support the expenditure.
So the expenditure comes up to governance. That would be the time to object to that, wouldn't it? Or would... No. Sorry?
No, it's in here.
Okay.
There's actually recommendation number 3. So I would be, if I can propose a different recommendation, and I would remove that Division 8.
Let's just...
funds it.
Yep. Councillor Raven?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And the Director spoke to it. So councillors made a decision in a place far, far away from here, and another time in another place, to suck up all budget that related to capital and to put it into the then DICIP program. So the TIMS, RIP, traffic management has zero capital budget. And it's something that when we've had traffic engineers who have left, and I've seen them out and about because they're local residents, have been quite vocal about how challenging that is for them, because tiny little projects like this, which require tiny little bits amount of money, must be supported through DICIP or LIP. And they think it's backwards. And no other council does it that way. And it's just because of the way a previous council sucked up that budget, and now there just is no capital budget for them. So there's no line item to put it against, right? We could change that. Sometimes there are benefits, though, to this process, because it means that the councillor must be consulted before traffic conditions change in their division. And I remember one, Sylvia, there was the QPS wanted to remove a no standing zone so that they could park an enforcement vehicle there to do speed camera enforcement on Logan Lee Road in my electorate. I wasn't comfortable referring that to council until such time that they did something about the intersection at Tygum Road and Logan Lee Road as far as monitoring the red light running. They did something, and then I was very happy to refer it to council afterwards. So it gives you some leverage over something that may seem very small, $100, $200, but it means that the council can then say, well, if somebody wants this, be it a resident, be it another agency, another government, you can say, we will support this, but what is the interest in ratepayers? What benefit are ratepayers going to get from supporting your suggestion? In this one, it's the clarity of being able to make sure their mail and ambulances get where they need to go. So that's the history and the weirdness of it. I'm very happy to support it because I don't want to see this get delayed. I know this is can be a very challenging process because residents' street addresses will change, and while Australia Post says they will totally update it, it relies on the postie knowing that it's been changed. It relies on one person who understands that, and you can have some dramas for a little while, for a year or so afterwards. So the sooner you can rip the Band-Aid off and get it over and done with, the better.
No other councillors have any questions? Councillor Heremiah, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'd like to preface my statement by acknowledging and thanking what the other councillors have mentioned about LIP funding. The history of this specific road is, in my opinion, my personal opinion, is a story of bad town planning. We had an old street in rural Logan Reserve called one thing, and then there was a new street that was built relatively recently, and it was called a very similar thing, and that's led to confusion and now a potential street name change. Now, I think if we had better town planning, in my opinion, we wouldn't see these sort of things, but that's a story that's shared across Division 8 about some of the impacts of what I believe is bad town planning. $200-300 for a street sign change is it's not ideal. I don't think Division 8's LIP funding should be victimised even more as a result of bad town planning, but right now that's the system in which we operate. I think the funding process is flawed and could be improved, but just like what Councillor Raven mentioned, would sometimes, if we want to get urgent action, instead of changing the whole system, to get that action, it's better to try to work within it. Now, if you look at not only the funding process, but the actual policy process when it comes to street name changing, I believe that is also flawed. If you look at the policy, Council's policy that's titled Changing of Name of Roads, which is the policy that this report works under, residents are defined as, quote, persons who have a vote at council elections, end quote. So by that definition, that policy disenfranchises and exempts people who are permanent residents from being considered residents under that policy. That's what I think is a bad policy, and I think it could be improved, just like the funding process could be improved. But sometimes you've just got to work within that system to get a result ASAP. So thank you for your concern. I appreciate it. I think funding this out of LIP is appropriate. Hopefully over the long term, we can see a better system introduced. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thanks. Do we have any other questions for the manager? That being said, we've got a motion on the board. We'll test that, and if it fails, Councillor Wilcox, and you want to make an amendment, then we'll look at it. But Councillor Bradley is moving the motion. I just had a blank. Councillor Bannon is seconding it. All those in favour, please raise your hand. It's carried unanimously with the exception of Councillor Wilcox. How do you vote, Councillor Wilcox?
Against because of point 3.
Thanks, Fred. Oh, and Councillor Heremiah, pardon me.
Abstain.
Thank you. Okay, moving along, we've got item 5.2, Statement of Intent for Road Pavement Assets Renewal Program 24-25 and beyond. Mr. Ranawira, this is yours again, and I see you've got some people with you. I can assume that the report is read by all the councillors because we love our local roads, so short, sharp and sweet would be wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. I think the report is shared with the councillors as well, all the works. With me today, we got Anthony, the program leader of RAM, or Road Asset Management, and Jing Xiong is the principal engineer as well. It's about, as you mentioned, is road asset renewals of the city. In fact, the renewal projects of a program to be undertaken during the next 3 years, starting with the financial year 2024-25. So it goes to 3 years. 24-25, 25-26, and 26-27 financial years. The list of projects in the program is considered as a statement of intent. I'll refer to that later on. And as the report indicates, Council is prepared to spend about $40 million per year for each year, roughly. Majority of the road payment asset renewals include pavement rehabilitation work and resurfacing. Funding will also be available to renewal-related activities such as project development, geotechnical investigation, larger-scale patching, and so on. So the projects have been identified after considering the conditions of the road and applying some optimization criteria process using a computer program, and it's a methodology used industry-wide. We also should expect some work will be undertaken on roads by other parties. For example, DA could do some work on a road because of a development. So we try to get some handle on that. So you will see a second list of items there, which we believe could happen from other programs, other works in the future. So they are considered to be delivered, but included in the separate list as more liaising or coordination is required in the future. Report also mentioned the payment condition index. Just want to let you know. So if a brand new payment network is there, we probably give a PCI value of 10. But considering the current status of the network, the PCI value has come to 8.7 into 2022, which is not bad. It is quite a good number. So it also includes the programs such as stormwater pits and curb and channeling as well. So you will see that there's separate funding for those programs. The adoption of the statement of intent will give us the flexibility to go and deliver these programs, deliver these jobs. In terms of delivery, I think there are some conditions mentioned in the report. Basically, what it says is it's difficult to say that if we will deliver every project. There could be some projects that we may not be able to deliver. We may not be delivering the project as per the priority order as well. So we probably will deliver some of the projects after 3 years as well. So it all depends on various factors. Thank you. I think that's all I'm going to say as a summary. Happy to answer any questions.
Thanks very much. I've got Councillor Bradley.
Thank you, through the chair. I am super happy with this report. I'm happy to move it when the time comes.
Thank you very much. Councillor Wilcox.
Thank you. Thank you for the report. And I know that I've been going backwards and forwards with a few emails and that sort of thing, but I didn't have a chance to sit down and talk to you about the scope of some of these works. So I have a feeling you'll need to come up and see me and take this offline. But I did just want to ask a couple of questions out in public. Goodna Road, 2026, between Old Greenbank Road and Thompson Road. Why page number is, there is no page number. There's no page number on it. Oh, sorry, page 33, right down where I've written over the top. Why is this bit getting an upgrade so late when I would have thought the bypass around the back of the school, which should have been implemented by then, which will affect one of the other sections of roads that you've actually got on here, because part of it I would have thought would have taken in these intersections. Or is the section that's actually got Old Greenbank Road to Lot 11 Goodna Road to do with the email that I sent the other day regarding the road going past the school and the car parking side?
Can I just stop you there? Can you clarify what your question is? Because that was pretty long.
So, the bypass around the school, this is where Greenbank State School is. So the bypass around the back of the school should be implemented, I would have thought, or would have started to have been built by 2026. So I'm not sure why this is getting done as well, because I thought it was all in a package of works with the bypass of the school.
Anthony.
Yeah, so the section more towards Thompson Road, there's some defects developing through there, so we wouldn't necessarily rebuild the whole road. There'll be structural strengthening where it's needed, not necessarily 100% of that road length, and we're aware of that there's future work there, so that would be calibrated the amount of strengthening that's done to what the long-term work would be, and then back towards the block, back towards Old Greenbank Road, there's further repairs done there, and they could, I guess, deteriorate rapidly. So we'll again do structural repairs where it's required, not necessarily resurface full width, full length for that section of road.
Okay, thanks. In regards to Greenbank Road on the next page, this one's basically saying it's the whole length of Greenbank Road when you look at all the numbers and all the figures. So my concern is, and QRA funding, I have heard, and not through council, but I've heard through state lines, that the QRA funding for the repair of Greenbank Road has been approved. So I'm now wondering why Greenbank Road is on this list if the funding has been approved to fix that huge section that has been reduced in speed for 14 months after the flooding, why it's now also on a list for 2025.
Okay, so there's a section, where is it, a bit east of Willowbrook, which is being funded by the QRA, that's 710 metres, approximately that length that'll be funded there. Because it's a betterment project, there could be a small amount council needs to fund, or if it ran over budget, that we would have to cover that cost. So we've got that in the report. That will help with that contingency if it's required. But there's earlier there was some uncertainty about between Crowson Lane and Scott Lane exactly what was going to be repaired as part of these works, and we've kind of narrowed it down a bit more recently that there'll be 400 metres or so to the east and 260 metres to the west. We're looking at getting that work done as part of these betterment works, and depending on how the road outside of that area went, we would probably just leave that section if it's performing well, and any further analysis determines that it'll be in reasonable condition for a number of years. But just to, I guess, cover all the defects that are there, we put that whole run through there, and we'll be doing other works outside the betterment, but not end to end. We'll refine that project as it develops.
So to be clear, does that mean the betterment funding, QRA funding, will get done before 2025, or is it all in this package in 2025 and we're going to be doing reduced speeds for another 2 years?
Okay. The betterment funding, it has a time limit when it has to be spent by. I think that's, say, around the middle of next year, something like that is the currently known deadline, and that would be that 710 metres, and that would be the target to get that built first. That would cover most of the worst areas on that run. So that's subject to RCM's construction schedule and everything, but there is a deadline that the funding has to be spent by.
Thank
currently.
You. That's good to hear. Middle Road, page 44, 45. The scope of works that you've got for Middle Road, I'm just concerned that after the 2022 floods, a lot of the work from just past Crest Road up until, I can't think of the, it's just before Punjab Place, that was pretty much all done apart from the little roundabout that was there. That was all done just after the flooding last year. Councillor Fraser and I had to deal with all the roadworks and that sort of thing. So I'm not sure. Can you explain that scope?
Yeah, maybe just we might have to take that
Just
one.
just to interrupt you for a moment, Anthony. Councillor Wilcox, how many of these have you got on the list?
That one and then Newbeef.
Okay.
That's it.
Mr Mayor.
Yeah, look, I think that councillors have got to take into account that we get these reports sometime before the meeting. That allows the councillors to contact the officers and to make divisional inquiries. These are divisional inquiries unless there's something that affects the whole road network. I think that councillors should take that opportunity to make inquiries before the meeting to cut down the amount of content that the other 11 councillors have to endure.
Thanks
over
very
their
much,
divisions.
Mr Mayor. I believe that Councillor Wilcox did contact the officers before the meeting. I'm just not sure on these specific ones. That's why I asked how many are left, so that if there's one more, then I think we can persevere through that.
Whilst they are divisional, they're also the flood affected roads for 14 months.
Nothing stopping you from making inquiries about these roads before the meeting. That would be my. I was a divisional councillor. I used to contact Anthony. I used to go down there and talk to Anthony about particular roads. That is open to every councillor to reduce the amount of time that takes, because I understand that other councillors might have.
And these are the roads that I constantly get asked about.
Not going backwards and forwards. I've got the chair, and thank you very much for your input. We've got one more to go through, and then we'll move to the next questioner, if that's okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
The Middle Road, yeah, we'll review that one, and I'll just clarify the green highlighting there. That was a late addition there, and that's why it's highlighted green, in case anyone's got a question about that. But we'll have to review Middle Road separately.
Thank you. And then again, just with Newbeath Road, because of the bypass that's going in around the back of the school, when I looked at the numbers, a lot of this was completed after the flooding. There was huge patch jobs. So I was concerned with how much and how far this is going, because I think it was going all the way down to the roundabout, which was the brand new section of road that was built quite a few years ago, which was the new upgrade. So I was a bit concerned over why that one even made the list as well.
Yeah, we'll review that one. I haven't got an answer at the moment. Thank you.
Now, the councillors have any other questions? Thank you very much. Can we put the motion on the board? It's up there. There's a motion on the board. If you could review it. Councillor Bradley has moved the motion. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Bannon. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That is carried completely. Thank you very much. All right, moving right along. Sorry, does anyone have any general business for Mr Ranawira? Do you have any business for us, Mr Ranawira?
I'm right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're moving right along. Can I please have the Logan Water people join the discussion? We're moving on to item 5.3, Logan Water Q3 update. We've got Group Manager Mr Mike Basterfield, and he's going to introduce his new manager. Thank you.
Yes, I'm pleased to be accompanied today by Damien Collins, who started service with us yesterday as the new Manager of Water Infrastructure Solutions. So I thought I would bring Damien along today and put a name to the face, or a face to the name, and we will come and introduce Damien to you in the course of business. But I'd like to welcome Damien today.
We're going to assume that report's read, are we, Mr Basterfield?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
I have a short presentation, but I'm happy just to hit a couple of highlights. The capital program is running at about 90% completion as at the end of the year. The chief reason for that is that we had a SEQ water program, a water main bring forward program that has SEQ Water have pushed back in the program. So I think that's the main reason for the difference. We're still in negotiations with them about that project, but we'll get the bulk 90% of the capital program delivered by the end of the year, including the key programs out at Loganholme and the close down of Beenleigh Treatment Plant and the development growth projects that we have detailed in the report. So if there's any questions.
There appears to be none. Thank you very
Excellent.
much for the work. 90% is pretty good. We've got Councillor Bradley who's moved the report. Councillor Murphy seconded that. All those in favour, please raise your hands. That's been carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Welcome on board. It's going to be a wild ride, Damien, and you've got a big set of shoes to fit into, so welcome. Thank you.
No, I understand that. Thank you for the opportunity to come and have a look at how the machinations of council work. And
this is the mighty City Infrastructure Committee. We move quickly. So that being said, we'll move into, there's no late reports, we'll move into general business. Director, do you have some general business for us, or any GB for water?
All good?
Mr Mayor. Oh, naughty.
Just a question, Mike. I was contacted by a mayor in Canada regarding the biochar facility. Has that progressed anywhere, that discussion?
I haven't managed to contact the shipmate yet, but I intend to do that. It seems like a really nice part of the world where he's from up there. So, but very, very small. So I'm not sure that they're going to be big enough. But I will contact him.
The interesting thing outside of that is Vancouver. They're having such a problem with their sewage that they actually dig holes and deliver it to the holes because they've got that much. I mean, they're on top of the world on so many issues, but sewage, there's a large issue. And I think that the biochar facility is, when you go outside of Queensland, you see how much of a big thing it is, and the possibilities are endless with that technology. And I was just wondering, we're obviously getting inquiries now, how can we make this a money-generating exercise for us? Is there any way of doing this?
Yeah, we're looking in very close detail at the commercialisation of the technology. We have great interest from every water authority in the country and some internationally, as you say. So we are trying to work out how we can expand our facility, but manage the risk in building others, and looking at how we can gain reward from that exercise. So that'll be part of the work that I'm planning to bring back to committee before the end of the financial year.
And also the other question is, how's that report proceeding regarding battery technology for the water treatment plant? As you know, electricity costs are going absolutely through the roof for us. I was just wondering how that's advancing.
So I'm meeting with Silvio and Darren this week. So we're at the point of coming back to brief you, and we're planning to be back to committee by the end of the financial year.
Thank you very much for asking those questions in committee, Mr. Mayor. It's very, very good. I think they were great questions, Mr. Mayor. Other people might not have, but I thought they were wonderful. So that being said, Councillor Bradley.
I was just curious through the chair if you've trademarked the biochar at all.
We haven't formally trademarked it, but we're very careful in the ownership of the IP, and we are talking to part of the work we're doing with PwC is also looking at how we commercialise that. So.
Thank you very much for that, and thank you for your time. Moving on to general business. Director, do you have general business for us?
Yes, I do, Madam Chair. I just wanted to give you an update on the REPA and betterment funding proposals that Councillor Wilcott raised. So we have actually been advised recently that we were successful in getting 4 betterment projects through council, which brings in an additional additional $5 million worth of funding to help not just repair the roads damaged by flood, but actually upgrade them. Those jobs were Greenbank Road, New Beef Road, Haven Road and Murcott Street drainage. Now, if you put the $5 million we got through betterment funding together with the $1.4 million worth of REPA funding, which is just to repair the damage, that's $6.6 million of additional funding which we've got. The challenge now is how do we deliver an extra $6.6 million worth of work, and we're struggling to get through that at the moment. So I just thought that was useful information to provide. The other thing I just wanted to give you was an update on our roads capital program. We've actually delivered, as of the end of March, $93.9 million worth of road capital works against a total budget of 111. We're going to probably hit 125 million this year, and that's fortunate. The weather has been fortunate for us this year. We just have not lost the weeks and weeks of wet weather. We've finished most of the rehab projects because we front-ended those, but now we're into the big jobs, the Logan Lee Road, the Mundoolan Road, Chambers Flat Road, and Cooper and Kelly Master Drainage. Now they're going to start kicking off in earnest now, and that means that every month we'll be spending $10 million at least. So really positive news in regards to the roads capital budget, and we're doing that notwithstanding we've got resource issues with staffing, we've got contractor costings, but it is still going very well. So touch wood, we don't get a bad weather condition between now and July.
Do any other councillors have any general business? Councillor Bradley?
Yeah, thank you. Just on what the director has said, there's two things. Firstly, is that the same bucket of funding for John Paul Drive that you were going to apply for?
No, the REPA is, yes, so the REPA, and we're still waiting for that confirmation for the REPA.
That was one question. And the second question was around all those major roads that are just about to get done. I suppose for me, it's the communication out to the community. Is there some sort of strategy for that?
The four roads I just announced, Logan Lee Road, Mundoolan, Chambers and Cowper, they've all been well communicated throughout the areas with signs, letter drops, so they're all well communicated now. We've got leaflets that we prepare for every major job now, and we liaise with the councillors in all of those divisions, so thanks.
Any other councillors have any general business? I have one, which is, Mr Director, can you just ask whether or not it can be investigated what's happening with the street sweepers in Station Road at Woodridge? It appears that they're pushing it into the new drainage points and blocking them. There's a lot of leafy debris off the rail line that happens there, but also in Ashvale Street at Kingston, the street sweeper appears to push the rubbish into the drains rather than picking it up. So if we could just get that investigated, that would be lovely. I have raised it once before, so I thought I'd raise it again. That being said, no other questions, no other business. I declare the meeting shut at 11:12 a.m. Thank you very much for your time today.